Let me show you my countryside through these old headlights. We can take this road as far as you want to go. I'll show you how a country mile can take us all night. Feeling higher than a bull's tail up an old dirt road. I ain't gonna run or hide. We can let the fire burn wild. That's just my countryside.
Hey you guys, good morning. We are going out to water. Here's some of my plants that I had started in the grow lights, and then I transferred them into the high tunnel, and then I went ahead and up potted some of them here. I moved this greenhouse little guy. This is what I used to get started as far as seeds when we lived in the suburbs. So we have this in the garage here, and we up potted those. We're gonna go ahead and go out to water the rest of the plants that are still in pots in the greenhouse. It's been raining the last like 2 days almost, so things are pretty wet, but because they were in the greenhouse, they did not get any water. So I'm gonna go ahead and check on those. Hopefully they're not too far dry, because I forgot to check on them yesterday. So anyways, the boys are over there in the garden doing their morning weeding. So Peyton and Daddy went to the hardware store. They're gonna get some more supplies for the fencing that we're doing. So some of you guys may not know that we are fencing off about 2 acres of our pasture that we've been prepping. Been doing a series on that. So we're slowly getting materials as we put money towards that fencing. So as we put money aside for the materials, we are just gathering those. And I mean, it's not cheap. So we had like the first initial buy-in, which was, I don't know, I would say around $2,500, no, $2,000 I would say, for some of the posts and some of the T-posts, the wood posts that are going up, and then the woven wire. So to continue it, we're needing, so I would say still probably another $1,500 just to get things like finalized with the H braces and the gates and like all the things, right? So all the staples and stuff like that. So anyhow, they went and got a few more of the supplies for the H braces to do. So now we're gonna wait for them to come back, and in the meantime, we're going to get to watering the high tunnel. Okay, so Mason over there is going to fill up a watering can. In the meantime, I'll show you the potatoes. They're cruising. They are really cruising. So they have started to flower. You can see kind of in between there. There's one on the end that you can see there. And then there's been some through here that have flowered too. So once they start to flower, they say it's not long. We went ahead and checked them, and they are grown in, but they're just not big enough yet. So we're gonna give them another probably 2 weeks to 4 weeks. And obviously just that one in the middle had flowered on that row. So that still tells me that the other ones are not quite there, which makes sense. So yeah, they're coming along. We did all different kinds. We did like cow white, and then there was like some baby Lou's in there, and there's like 1 or 2 other kinds that I'll have to look up. I'll put them in the description. Wow!
Oh, by the way, this is not even a quarter behind the building. Remember the other day we went back there?
Yeah.
It's probably like a couple hundred crews since then.
Really?
A couple hundred, yeah.
That's a ton. Okay, so wow. That's amazing.
Oh, look at this. Little mushrooms.
Oh, there are little mushrooms, huh?
Mommy,
Look at those cute little guys.
Mommy, I retried the black thing.
Yeah.
I retried it.
Oh, did you? Okay, thank you. Thanks for doing that, buddy.
Can I go pick more by the building?
Yeah, that would be great. So with the dandelions, we're gonna be making some dandelion tincture. I don't know if you guys know, but we do our own like topicals. And so dandelions are really great for lots of different medicinal uses. But yeah, so we're definitely gonna be using those. Can you put the dandelions in that bucket and we can bring them inside?
Me and Mason are gonna
We
go.
put them in there and then we'll just rinse them off before we use them.
Mason's go.
Thank you guys.
We have to go for home.
Okay, Mason's filling up a watering can. Not quite. Those aren't quite. We want to let them grow more. Okay, Mason, get the watering can. Okay, so the other side of this tunnel ripped. So we've been having to go in the back side here. Okay, so we still have some work to do. We need to get these are part of like the trellising that we did last year. So we're still gonna go through here and fix up some of these. They're not quite at the point of getting, this was from the tomatoes I got from Southern States. So these tomatoes, or these flowers, I don't want those on there. So I'm gonna go ahead and pluck those off because I want them to focus on their roots right now. So any of these that are coming on, I know it seems counterproductive. We don't quite want them to be flowering yet. Peel all those off. Oh wow, is that heavy? Can we get it for you? Okay. Oh my goodness, thank you so much. Okay, so do you want to water or do you want to pluck all the yellow flowers off of the plants? We're gonna water down there in those trays. Okay, it's super heavy, isn't it? So go around and so all the ones that are in the trays need water. Make sure you get all of them. Good job. Good. Okay, so we'll go around and we'll just see these, Mason. We're just gonna pluck those off. Okay, and then that way they'll focus on roots. And then we'll have bigger, better fruits later. Okay, so I think that's pretty good. You can tell that the chickens were in here because we have feathers. So I don't know if you guys notice in stores or just in common knowledge, but they sell feather meal at the local like garden nurseries, plant stores, all of that. So hardware stores, feather meal and blood meal. Back in the old traditional ways, they had chickens, right? Most people had chickens when they were raising their food. So feather meal and blood meal and bone meal would have typically come from some sort of livestock animal, chickens, perhaps even like beef or pork or whatever. And they would compost and utilize those things for their garden. So they would naturally have gotten this stuff anyways that you're paying for at the store. We get naturally here on our homestead. So like even say this morning, we went ahead and we dispatched one of our roosters who's just not a good rooster. So there's going to be people on both sides of the argument. I totally get it coming from the suburb life, but understanding the homestead life, and now that we're living it, it's completely different. So there is specific characteristics that you look for when you're producing roosters and when you're breeding chickens. And some roosters have it, and some of them are just not good roosters at all. They're like harassing the hens. They are teaching the up and coming generations bad habits, things like that. So we will go ahead and number one, we use that meat for our dogs and for our family to utilize. And so we have that, but then even after that, they go ahead and they serve our garden. So through their carcass, through their feathers, all of that, their blood, everything gets repurposed into the soil. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and just lay that back down there. It becomes natural feather meal for our garden and for our food. So here we have some basil that I had put into pots, and then I went ahead and gave them bigger pots. We have some nasturtiums, we have feverfew, we have marigolds, we have some stock. We have some, I think it's called Galaxa. I've read the label and it's rubbing off, so I have to revisit that one. Okay, so everything's looking pretty good. These ones I did all from seed, which I'm really proud of. The fact that I can do things from seed now. I mean, it took years of gardening, like 10 years before I actually felt confident enough to really start things from seed. I would plant outside in direct sow from seed. And I started some cucumbers and tomatoes and peppers, but it wasn't on this large scale operation that I'm doing now. So the fact that I can multitask everything, I guess, is what I'm most proud of. And if you know, you know, especially when you're like homeschooling and doing all the things. So these are looking really good all through here. I did go ahead and I pruned off some of the stems that were lower to the ground, some of the branches, and any of the ones that were kind of touching each other. So say through here, I went ahead, you see that lower stem there, and this one, I went ahead and pruned any of the stems that were growing directly into this one this way. These ones are not touching, so they're fine for now. And then I went ahead and pruned off any suckers, and then any of the lower branches that were hanging down to the ground, because we planted them deep, there were some that were touching. So we went ahead and took those off just so that they're not touching the ground and creating disease for our plants. And here's some more cardboard that was from when we originally laid down underneath this soil and wood chips and mulch, because that becomes carbon for the soil and it actually draws up some of the worms and helps to repair any soil that is clay or just needing some more nutrition. So the varieties that we planted out here, we have a lot of the San Marzano, I think they call them like 2, is the ones from Johnny's that I got here on this side, and those are a paste tomato. So you can obviously use them fresh for fresh eating. We can do tacos with them, all of that, but they are for more of like the sauces, because we do a lot of like pasta sauce, we do a lot of like pizza sauce that we need, and so you're able to do more of that with the paste tomatoes than you are the regular slicer tomatoes that you would typically use on like a burger. So on this side here, you can see a weed, but we have on this side, we have the Amish paste. Not as many of those germinated and have lasted, so we have less of those. Let's see, we have 2, 4, 5. And then we have down here, we have some of the ox heart tomatoes. I believe this is another ox heart, yep. And then down this way, we have a black from Tula, and then another black from Tula. We have a Matt's Wild cherry tomato, and then here we have a German Johnson. And then over here, we have some Cherokee purples. I bought, let's see, 2, 4, I know I got 6 of those. Okay, so the other 2 are here. I did get 6 of those Cherokee purples, but I didn't want to do them too far over towards this side, because when the wind blows, I didn't want that tunnel cover to bounce into those and then create disease and moisture problems. So you can see I do have a little bit of weeds coming in here. I put some hay in here for the winter to store it from the chickens, but it did germinate, and I should have thought about that, but at any rate, so I do have some grasses growing in here, which is just another reminder that when you are using your chickens and going around and you're putting the hay down, it's actually going to help your pasture generate grass, so because there's seeds naturally. And then I went ahead and put some basil in between each of these, and that is the lettuce leaf basil. I'm really excited to see that one. I've never grown lettuce leaf basil here, so I'm excited to see how that leaves out and how much I get from that. So we're gonna go ahead and go over here to the pasture flock. I want to see how things are going with Jason gone now. My barefoot boy. I'm telling you what, growing up in Arizona, I was barefoot all the time, and I literally bought my first pair of closed-toed shoes. At least I'm pretty sure it was my first pair of closed-toed shoes when I started running track. I joke about that, but I'm pretty sure that that's actually true. I hated regular shoes because I did not like my feet sweating and how wet they would be when I took my shoes off. So anyways, I was like, oh, it's the texture thing. I think it's a sensory texture thing. I'm a very sensory texture person. So that like weirded me out. But I wanted to kind of come out here and check on these guys since Jason's gone. We were going to take him to the flock swap, and we took our other rooster Domino that was in the garden flock. Some of you may have been following along for that long. But Domino was a great rooster. So there's a difference between a rooster that's not right for your family, and then there's a difference between a rooster that is just not great genetics as far as what we want to keep producing here on our farm. So that's not to say that they won't have great offspring at all, but we want to make sure, number one, that our hens are happy. And so he was stressing out the hens more than he was taking care of them. And a rooster that's a good rooster will actually be a gentleman. They will point out food for the hens. They won't peck them away. They will do a mating dance around the hens with their little feathers. And they didn't do that. He just chased them down, hunted them down, and would mate them that way. And that's not what we want on our farm. So anyways, there's going to be opinions on both sides of it, and that's totally okay. Let's just be kosher and be nice in the way that we're doing it and talking about it. So anyways, here is the pasture flock. It definitely seems like a lot less stress this morning. I don't see anybody chasing a hen. The only other guy that I got my eyes on is Brantley. He is one of the juveniles that Mama Autumn, if you remember Mama Autumn, she hatched like 7 chicks out. And so Brantley and Blake are the 2 that she hatched out. So we're kind of becoming young adults pretty quickly. So anyhow, Brantley is the other one that I have my eyes on to make sure, because I think he was learning some of Jason's isms. So we got to keep a watch on him and make sure that he doesn't continue to follow in his footsteps. So Blake seems to be pretty good. Brantley, I'm watching him. We'll see how he does now. Okay, so here you can see Blake. That is Blake right in front of me here. So he is the nice guy. Hi, Blake. Hi, buddy. And then there is Jasmine. And we've got Ash. Hey, girl. Hi, Ash. So Ash is the one that went broody the first time here on our farm. Hey, girl. But she could not quite get it figured out. And we only had one that hatched from her, and it passed away. Hey, Pumpkin. That's Pumpkin. Hey, girl. So we do band them all because we like to know who's who. Our kids love it, especially my oldest. Hi, Velvet. Hey, girls. Hi, Mary. That's Mary right there. She's an Easter egg or Barred Rock mix. Right there. You can see the little tufts of fur on her, by her face. The Easter eggers are known for that. So this flock we just kind of do as our barnyard mix. We do a mixture of breeds, and really we just have the Barred Rocks, the Buff Orpingtons, and the Easter eggers in here. But I do have the garden flock right over there, and they are our breeding flock. So we use them. I want to make sure that they have the top-notch genetics, that they are strictly Barred Rocks only, so that we can guarantee that they are what they are. So you'll see a lot of people selling barnyard mixes. So the barnyard mixes are like the blend of different varieties of chickens, and then you have like the actual breed specific chickens that you can get. So we do those ones as just strictly Barred Rocks. We do these ones as like a barnyard mix, and it just kind of, my son loves to do different varieties He wants to get more, but we haven't gotten more yet. If it were me, I would stick with barred rocks, just because hands down, I feel like they are so social. Our Easter eggers are really not that social, and they're kind of feisty and skittish, but we've noticed that the barred rocks have been like friendly, they have been outgoing, they have been just all around very docile. I know that some people say that the barred rock roosters have like attacked them and stuff like that, and that's where we get back to some of the genetics that we don't want to continue breeding here on our farm. And we want to make sure that if we're going to be selling roosters, if we're going to be you know, breeding them, that we want to make sure that we're getting like the best of the best. We're getting the protection, but yet we're also getting to where they're not attacking us and they're not harassing our hens. And I really hope that that noise next door, they're doing some harvesting on some of those pines and leaving the deciduous trees and the hardwoods to grow bigger. I hope it's not too loud and you can hear me okay. But anyhow, I think that's gonna be it for this morning. We went ahead and checked on our greenhouse, gave you guys an update of the chickens out here. And I'm gonna just do kind of a quick stroll. I like to do this every morning or every evening, take a quick stroll, take a quick look through the garden. And the easiest way for me to do it is just kind of walk around the perimeter, just because it's a little bit of a larger scale garden. So anyways, that's gonna be it, and we will catch you on the next one.